The Provincial IEC Results Centre were here in East London. Well, it's the home stretch now for the IEC and the residents of South Africa as voting stations close at 7 o'clock. But the IEC has confirmed that voters in the queues will be allowed to vote after 7, provided, of course, that they are still within the parameters of the voting stations. With the 7 o'clock deadline now fast approaching, let us cross to Unathi Pingosa, our reporter, who is in Stakespruit, to get an update of how things have been this afternoon. Good afternoon, Unathi.
Thank you very much, Tammy, and a warm welcome to our SABC News viewers. Indeed, we're coming to you live from Stakespruit. It is right in the heart of Singu municipality. It is by far the biggest town in terms of wards in this municipality, which consists of towns such as Buckley East as well as Lady Grey. But I can tell you that voting is well and truly underway inside here. It has been a very, very chilly day right here in Stakespruit, which has somewhat hampered the numbers of people that have come in here to come and cast their vote. But I can tell you now, the rain has given us a bit of a reprieve, and people continue to trickle in, possibly bordering on streaming in now as we are heading in the last 30 minutes of this year's local government elections. And I can tell you that the political parties are beginning to understand that they did all they can, and it's now down to the voters to ensure that they push them towards leading them for the next 5 years in terms of local government elections here. But another thing, speaking to the presiding officer in this particular voting station, he says that the weather has adversely affected them. By 5 o'clock, they had just reached the 50% mark in terms of the registered voters that have come in to cast their vote inside here. And he is telling me that the 100% mark, even the 80% mark, is highly unlikely. And he has put that down mainly to the weather. And a whole lot of people have come in here. I mean, I've noticed no less than 3, perhaps in the last 5 minutes, that have been turned away because they are not registered in this station. Perhaps it points to the fact that a lot of people do not quite understand how local government operates. Some of them are told that they are registered in faraway places such as Bloemfontein and even Gauteng. So that has been another factor that has that will possibly affect the voter turnout in these particular elections. But the political parties remain hopeful, particularly here in Stakespruit, that particularly here at Singu municipality, that they will be able to achieve the results they want. I mean, the main parties that are contesting here, which is the ANC, the incumbent, and of course the Stakespruit Civic Association, and they all remain very confident that they will be able to achieve the results that they desire. But it's just a matter of time before we inform you guys on how they will fare in these elections. With that, it's a wrap from myself, Unathi Pingosa, and cameraman Uqwenga Mkubasi.
All right, thank you very much to our team there in Stakespruit. Now let's get an update, a provincial update from the Chief Electoral Officer for the Eastern Cape, Tatu Thamsanqa Mkhaji, who now joins me here. You can come closer to me, Tatu Mkhaji. As I welcome you here, how's the day been for the IEC in the province?
Well, it's been a very busy day. We started with most of our voting stations that opened on time,
right.
But about a few voting stations actually could not open in time,
right.
Because of some protests, service delivery protests that were taking place. Yes, we had service delivery protests early in the morning, but with police intervention, we were able to open a little bit later than normal, right. But they did open. So I can say now that all our voting stations have opened for voting today.
Right. And then some of them have been actually blown away by the wind, and I'm sure it has played havoc in several parts of the province.
The challenge has been the weather.
Yeah.
It has been a major challenge where overnight in Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, a number of tents were blown away by the wind. They were put up again, but in the course of the day, the wind has been getting strong and getting throughout the province as it is, because it's not only Nelson Mandela now, but we even get reports from as far as Mthatha, Port St. John's, right. And also in the northeastern part of the province, right. Like your Buckley East, Mount Fletcher.
So it's widespread.
But it's widespread,
Right.
and also in the northeastern part of the province,
Right.
you'll find that the snow is beginning to fall, which is also going to be a challenge in itself.
Now, it is indeed going to be a challenge, especially when you consider the turnout and the possibility that many people may have not been able to cast their votes. And as a result of that, I know that the ANC in the province has requested for an extension of time so as to allow people to come in. Is that something that you could consider?
Well, any extension of voting times is the competence of the commission itself. So one who requests extension of time must submit a motivation to the commission,
Yes.
and it must be considered by the commission. So whoever wants that should actually go to the commission.
Has such a request come to you?
I do not have a formal request of that nature.
Right, all right. Now, there's been reports of misconduct of IEC officials. Some of them you yourselves have had to dismiss. Can you tell us more about how's that been?
Well, it's a bit disappointing because all these people have been trained, but then you find that a presiding officer goes and issues ballot papers to people who are not registered, or a presiding officer will go and not issue all the ballot papers that they are supposed to issue. Fortunately, it is on a low scale, but we have to take action.
Right.
We cannot just allow it to go. And yesterday also, for example, there was a case of a presiding and deputy presiding officer who seemed to be colluding to influence voters. We cannot allow that. As a result, they have been removed from those positions.
It will obviously dent the credibility of the IEC. I mean, obviously you are struggling as it is now with some political parties not doubting the IEC that it will be able to handle these elections.
Yes, that is why we are very strict, and in any case where anybody tries to do something which is actually bring the name of the commission into disrepute.
Okay, thank you very much, Tatu Tamsanga Mkhaji, who is the Chief Electoral Officer here in the Eastern Cape. Now, we're now going to go to the far parts of our province in the area of Queenstown to get a quick update of how things have been there. We are joining our reporter, Busisiwe Jemsana. Busi, good afternoon. How has been the situation that side this afternoon?
Thank you very much, Tammy, and welcome back to Ward 10 in Queenstown, one of the biggest wards in this municipality, the Lukanji municipality. You would know that this municipality is very crucial for the four political parties and more that are contesting in this municipality, as it will be merged with other two municipalities to form one municipality. Since the early hours of this morning, we've seen long queues, people not being deterred by the harsh weather conditions that were prevailing in the province today. But to tell us how the process went and if there were any disturbances throughout the day, we do have the presiding officer right with us, Lumka Gibson. Mrs. Gibson, how has the voting been since this morning?
Since this morning, the turnout was okay, and fortunately, there were no disturbances at all. It was just running smoothly for the whole day.
When we came here a number of times, we noticed that more elderly people were standing on the queues. Is this the case? How has the attendance of the young people been?
Yeah, the elders were here, but at least this time, the youth now was responding positively.
Thank you so much for your time. That was the presiding officer, Lumka Gibson. Whilst we were speaking of, she was saying that though it is the last hour, though the closing time is nearing, but as the presiding officer of this ward, as she has been here for years, she has noticed a trend that come the peak hour, come minutes before the closing time, she would see long queues coming in to vote to make that final mark. We know that just over 600 votes votes have been casted in this municipality since the early hours of the day. We have seen people coming in even now, though the queues have dropped and they have shortened, but we still continue to see people queuing to vote. We shall see if they will continue to do that minutes before the closing time. Generally, elections in this municipality have been proceeding smoothly across this Lukanji municipality. From us, it's back to you in studio.
All right, thank you very much, Busi. From Queenstown, let's quickly jump to Nelson Mandela Bay, where our reporter Janine Lee is standing by for an update. Janine?
Yes, Tommy, good evening and welcome to Nelson Mandela Bay. We are here at the Mazungula Primary School. Still a big voting queue behind me, as you can see. But some news just in, Tommy. You will remember we've spoken all day about how bad the weather was here in the Eastern Cape, Nelson Mandela Bay and Buffalo City. We knew a number of these temporary tents actually blew down. So what has happened is that the ANC has made a request to the IEC at these particular voting stations where the tents blew down, could they have an extension of voting hours, and this has been taken under consideration, and I believe the request has gone up to Pretoria, to the IEC head there, and they will make a decision. And we are hearing that they are going to extend the time for voting, but only at these particular areas where the tents blew down, so they will get longer time to vote. We're not quite sure exactly what the extension time is, but good news is there will be an extension in those particular areas. Tommy, just a quick run through the metro today. A lot of first time voters in the queue. It was lovely to see today, and there were threats yesterday of a boycott of the election in certain areas. This didn't happen, and we covered all the areas. We had some nice stories coming in from the rural parts of the city on the outskirts where people were in queues and they had made fires to keep themselves warm, so that was really nice. And when I nipped out quickly to vote, I cannot tell you how helpful the IEC officials were. They took the elderly to the front of the queues, they assisted people who weren't sure what they should do, so really a big thumbs up to the IEC here in the province. And also quite interesting, Tommy, they've taken a hardline approach for free and fair elections. We know that they removed a presiding officer and his deputy from a voting station somewhere in near Mthatha because they were influencing voters. And we've had, we thought the campaigning was over, or so to speak, or we had seen the last of the big wigs from the parties in the Bay. Not so. We had Musi Mamani here, we had Lindiwe Sisulu here in the Bay, and now what's coming out as the day has progressed, Tommy, if you look on social media, you will see Tom, Dick and Harry and all their thumbs. If we never see another thumb on Facebook, I don't think we'll be sorry. But all in all, it's been a really good day in the metro and voting has gone smoothly. Just a few problems here and there, but they have been sorted out really quickly by the IEC. And we're expecting Danny Jordan to make an appearance soon, but we don't see him yet. From us here in the metro, Tommy, a cold one to your warm studio in East London. It's back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Janine in the Nelson Mandela Metro. Well, that's all we had time for in this little quick update of what's happening in the province. We now hand it back to our colleagues in Pretoria.